You're on a beach, and there's several captains, and they have drawn a very rough map
Oh yeah, there is a
in
map.
in the sand. They appear to mainly be talking about the nautical side of the operation, as they will probably, in their estimate, have to combat some other ships. There's about 4 captains there at the moment,
Including ours?
including yours. Do you know what you're doing?
Catalina, perhaps before heading back to the ship, we should ask the captain what exactly it is we are to do.
See,
And the third captain walks over, and he's wearing a very red, shiny looking pants and jacket, and a large folded hat with a ridiculously sized plume that curves around.
I think that we do not precisely know. No.
So where was it? It's all your crew children, mate. And he just shakes
Who's
his
he
head.
looking? Because Fenric's definitely not a child.
Catalina throws him a dirty look.
I do not think anyone here counts as a child.
You would be surprised. The smaller they are, the better they are at fighting.
Well, that's lucky for you then, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not be here if it wasn't for them.
Small children.
Well, see, that was my concern, he says to the pirate who asked that question or made that statement.
Fenric's gonna train an army of small children to be his bodyguards.
So, the warehouse is slightly upriver, so you'll have to take your longboat down the river. You're going to have 1 hour. So use your time wisely. It is imperative that you actually let them set off the alarm and flare.
Oui.
I know this sounds counterproductive, but your job is to pull some of the escort ships away. They're going to come to try to support the warehouse district. They can't do that if they don't know it's in trouble. Your captain has agreed to drop you at the top of the island. You'll make your way down the river. He will move to the other side. You will then steal as much as you can possibly get. And I would say don't be excessively greedy, as much as it feels like, the more you get's great. But you've got to be out of there by an hour. You will not be able to take on too many ships, and we don't know how many they're going to send.
Oui, 1 hour.
Grab whatever you want. You'll be able to sell it, and you're going to get some profit.
That sounds pretty good to me.
The place will be guarded, but we caught and liberated one of their workers who escaped, and he said that there is no more than 11 more than 12 guards.
That is
11 more than 12.
23.
Fenric is trying to count on his fingers.
So you were saying now 23 guards.
Oui, 23.
23. There are 23 guards.
So then
Well, he
there
could have
could
just said
be
23.
less?
There
Then
could be less. There is definitely no more than that. They're also not going to all be in one place. Now,
Okay.
if trouble starts, which it could well, you're going to have to do what you think is best. But I think it's in your best interest to try to avoid having that situation as long as possible. You don't make any more money out of this if you have a pitch battle or if you get in and get out.
It would be better not to fight anyone if possible.
Right. But you do have to get caught at some point so they actually set off the alarm. So get yourself set up so that it's in your favor, not theirs, so that when they are setting off the alarm, that's not a complete detriment to you. If they do that too early, you're going to be in a bit of a bind.
I suggest
Or maybe
we
not.
fill up the boats
And then,
as quickly as possible and then cause commotion enough to raise the alarm.
we. I think that sounds like a good plan.
I'm good at causing distractions.
Are you planning to bring your accordion?
Perhaps.
Is that going to make them set off the alarm, or is that going to make them just stare at you in confusion? And wonder, why
Depends
is
on
a
the
man stuck
tune I
onto this
play.
island? And then begun to play a song.
If it's a war chant, I'm sure they will.
Can you play a war chant on the accordion?
Language skills.
No, don't get killed. Make some
I-
coin.
I think that was the plan. Perhaps we should make our way there and see what it is like, and then we can decide whether to burn the whole island down or not.
We will have plenty of time on our way there to discuss strategy.
Sounds like you got this all under control. And he turns and is
does.
walking away.
Don't worry, we're the best of the best.
I think that is an exaggeration. Huh. Very well. All right. Marguerite will check to make sure Alana's still with them and hasn't wandered off, and then
He
we'll
has not.
head back to the ship. Yeah, the other captain's like, well, I don't care if they all die as long as they're loud about it and set off the alarm.
Yep. Penance at sea.
Well, first is the sneaking in part. You two are both good at that. If I bring my accordion, that will make it a little
well,
bit more challenging.
First is not sneaking, first is taking the longboat.
Yes, I don't consider that too much of a challenge, do you?
Well, we are taking it through the river to the warehouse, so we may already be seen there.
Yes, that's part of the sneaking.
In a longboat. How do you sneak in a longboat?
Very quietly.
So we can go, Alana, and 6 more in the longboat. Look, we can take the 4 of us, you, me, Alana. Then there are 6 seats left. However, if we bring 6, we have not much room left for loot. So, perhaps instead of 6, we bring 3, 4? What do you say? If you wish to bring 2, what do you wish to bring?
We shall bring Patty, the storemaster.
Oui?
I think we would more likely want someone who is good at sneaking rather than brute force. Hopefully we will not...
However, if they are not able to help us with lifting and loadings, then we do not wish to bring them along, no?
See.
That is a good point, but if they can't do it quietly, then we may have to fight.
And then they are in the same boat as you, no? Besides, we do wish to be noticed, just not too soon.
So we have 2 men who are large. I would suggest that we take someone who has a, maybe a rifle.
Oui. Which of the crew uses a rifle? Fenric has his pistol.
I do.
We will take Byron.
Oui. Then go tell those two that we want them with us.
And are we
Catalina
bringing
looks at Fenric.
Alana?
Hey?
Are we bringing Alana?
Oui. She is right here. That is why at the beginning I said, us four. That is you, me, Alana.
Yes, just double checking.
And her ears are pricking up as her name's been mentioned twice within 2 sentences.
He is asking if you are coming, and I am saying yes.
We.
See?
Fenric nods at her. All right, all right.
And she swaps patch.
Ah, it is the right eye today.
See.
El Capitan. We will take Patty, the Storemaster. See?
All right.
And Byron, the... I do not know what he does. But I have seen him shoot a rifle.
Byron, that guy.
That guy.
Oui.
See?
Soto.
The captain's like, what is with you people?
Catalina jumps onto the longboat.
Oh.
And the ship, as it approaches the island, douses all the lights and drops most of the sails. And it comes in at a much slower rate, but a lot less visible. When he gets close, he turns to you and motions to the longboat.
Before this point, Marguerite has explained to Alana what we're doing, so she's not just being dragged along for confusing things.
Fenric has been preparing sort of lunch snacks for people.
All right, Marguerite will get into the longboat.
Hattie comes out and she has a great big club that she's bringing. She gets in towards the front to balance where Fenric's going to be, unless he also gets at the front.
And they both sit in the front and the back.
So she's originally from Ursa. They don't know what her other name really would have been. They've all called her Patty, and she's got arms like tree trunks and wins most of the arm wrestling competitions.
And she always says she used to wrestle bears for fun.
Yep.
And no one knows if it's a lie.
And no one wants to challenge.
Until we find a bear. And then say, now show us.
Byron sits in the middle.
Fenric is going to get towards the back, and as he sits down, his backpack lets out a squeaking noise of his accordion folding.
Marguerite will get in somewhere in the middle.
The ship moves off, and you can enter the river. You will be approaching from the top of the map. You can give me a trouble approach, much like
Oh.
Tails. You do see there's 2 guards at that building at the river.
Mm.
They are not watching the river, they are in the building, but the building has windows.
Okay.
So there is, other than that, no guards on the river, like standing around on the river. There is guards walking around, checking stuff and doing stuff.
I have 2 raises.
And I've got 3. So we're at 5.
There's 2 guys inside. As you're coming down, you've got no lights. They do have a flickering lantern in there, so you can see they're playing cards. At the moment, you're unseen. You can see through the trees the lights of the facility, and that you can see there are people walking around. They are dressed in the dress of the Castilian military, the army specifically. And they're not on hyper alert. They don't appear to be overly concerned or expecting trouble by the looks of it.
As we row down the river, Fenric points to the building on the side of the river and kind of nudges the people who are rowing to stop for a second. And he points at, yeah, they're standing either side of a boat launch that they use to carry supplies down the river. And Fenric points them out. And it's a little bit hard to see in the, yeah, so they're a little bit hard to make out in the shadows and the light that's coming from inside the building.
And Marguerite is going to focus entirely on getting the longboat as quietly as possible to ease against the shoreline so that our quietest and sneakiest member can hop onto the shore and go deal with these guards without being noticed before we get there.
Catalina unbuckles her rapier and picks up a small wooden baton off the floor of the boat, and glides into the water as it gets closer to the edge of the river, and she quietly walks up to the reeds next to the building. She draws her dagger in one hand and flips it around so it's facing towards her, and she has the wooden baton in her left hand, and she can hear the two guards. They turn and start to walk towards the candlelit room. Catalina quietly sneaks up behind them and whacks one of the guards over the back of the head, and he falls and topples. The other guard obviously notices this because his companion just fell beside him. He draws his sword. A short sword battle ensues with Catalina parrying blows, and she pushes him towards the lit room, kicks the rope underneath the guard's feet. He gets tangled up in them, falls to the ground, allowing Catalina an opportunity, and she whacks him over the side of the head. Waves for the boat to continue downstream, giving them the okay, and she disappears into the darkness.
Welcome back.
All we have to do now is to sneak inside the warehouse.
Oi. It is further along the stream, no?
See,
All right. Marguerite, who was hanging on to a tree on the shore to stop the longboat from drifting, is going to push off from the shoreline so we can continue moving. So, since the longboat is now going through a very narrow stream that doesn't have a strong current, Marguerite has basically instructed everyone else to pull their oars into the boat and stop rowing because, one, it's not necessary, and two, it's going to make extra noise. And she is moving the longboat along as quietly as possible, either by pulling on trees along just to move the boat, or if it gets a little bit wider, using her oar to sort of push along the bottom quietly since it's fairly shallow. She is also keeping a fairly close lookout ahead as they move along, and at some point will stop. She'll stop about 100 feet before the warehouse and turn to the others and say, there are 4 guards up there, but they have not seen us.
You think we can take them out quickly and quietly?
I am sure that we could try. I cannot say how it would go. What would say the rest of you?
depending on the guard rotation, I could take out 1 or 2 of them.
My main problem is my pistol is loud, so I'd have to get
So we
up
do not
pretty
wish to shoot
close.
anyone, no?
Yes, that too, of course.
I could certainly try to take one out if you do not think that you could. Alana, do you think you could deal with one guard quietly? One? She's done? So if you think that you could take two, I could try one, Alana one, unless either of you two think you could quietly take out a guard, and she's turned to the two we brought.
Well, it would make sense to bring Patty.
Before or after we try and quietly deal with them?
Before.
Maybe. Fenric, you are sure you do not wish to try and subtly eliminate one?
I don't think that is my forte. I think
No?
it's better if you handle it. I think there's a good chance I mess up the whole thing if I try.
Well, I suppose you are very forte. You have studied music, no?
Yes. Oh, that forte.
Oui.
I thought that was some word in your language.
It's not my language, it is Vodace.
Yes, I am fairly loud, I know.
I'm going to use a weaponry approach and have to spend the 2 extra raises to try and sneak, as I still think that will go better for me. That's 3. So that's exactly how many I needed if I'm doing 2 for sneaking and 1 for hitting.
Okay.
Okay.
I will do the same. Catalina will do the same. So I end up with 7 raises.
Okay.
And Alana got 3.
Okay. So Catalina goes first.
As the group is sneaking towards the second warehouse, Catalina branches off from the group and heads towards the guard that's on the dock over at the creek, and he's standing there and he's lighting up a pipe, and he turns to walk back to the warehouse, and he sees this girl standing in front of him with a wooden baton in one hand and a dagger in the other hand, whacks the side of his neck. He crumples to the ground. She turns to rush the next guard.
Alana's crouching down and she's moving up on the guard that's near the river, or the creek rather. And as the first one gets stumped, he turns to look in that direction and sees her. She jumps forward and punches him in the stomach, and it starts to knock him back. And he looks like he's going to fall into the river. And he's wailing his arms, but he's looking at the water with such fear that it's almost as if Alana thinks, wow, maybe he can't swim. And he's really afraid of it. And without thinking, she grabs his scarf and he's tilting backwards and she's holding on to him. And she's sort of thinking, okay, why'd I do that? She sort of yanks a bit and off balance, he falls forward and the two of them crash together and she essentially headbutts him. And she falls backwards onto her butt and rolls, and unconscious, he falls to the ground, and she rolls up in a mess of hair and cape, and her hat's over her eyes, and she starts just throwing wild punches at the air, thinking he's still in front of her. So she's off to the side now, just staggering around, doing wild uppercuts and hooks and jabs, trying to hit the guard that she's knocked unconscious.
Can they see that from the boat?
Oh, yeah, they can see that.
Fenric's just like, what is happening?
And there's this guard laying spread eagled on the jetty there, just sort of like.
Marguerite has quickly headed around the corner of the building where there is a guard standing facing away, and he turns and looks as though he's about to go around the building in the direction of where Catalina has perhaps made a sound thwacking one of the guards with a baton. So as he starts to walk that way, Marguerite's going to put a hand over his mouth, yank him back around that side of the building. She's just going to whack him with the hilt of her sword. She's not got time for anything too exciting. And leave him slumped against the building. And she will leave him slumped against the building and go try and extricate Alana from her own hair. Assuming Catalina's got the other two dealt with.
One guard who's come around the corner and staring at them. Catalina lurches forward, grabs the door handle as the guy starts to yell out, and she opens up and slams the door into his face. Catalina hits him on the one side of his left knee. He falls to the ground. She puts a right hand on a hip, turns back to Marguerite.
Who's, I assume, gotten Alana sorted out.
The immediate area is quiet. Just the sound of the creek and the nearby wildlife.
We have shut the guards up. All we need to do now is to steal the goods. We'll find out what we can steal.
Oui, and then to raise the alarm. Now that they are done, we could bring up some of the louder but stronger people.
See,
All right, Marguerite will go gesture to the others that they can now come up.
And Byron and Patty move up. Patty's not necessarily excessively loud, but definitely not sneaky. And Byron kneels down at the rear door, which is a double set of doors, and takes out a couple of lockpicks, and a few seconds later there's a click and he opens it. He slides the door open. There is no one inside, but there is bags of sugar and bags of tea and bags of coffee. It looks like some kegs of rum.
Sugar and tea and rum
And coffee.
and coffee.
Is Fenric also coming?
Yes, Fenric will take a step onto out of the boat onto. Is there a dock or is it just
Just shore.
shore?
Just
Okay.
riverbank.
Yeah, and his foot kind of sinks into the mud. It pulls it out with a squelch. It keeps walking forward and not very gracefully makes it to the building as well. All right, so let's load this up.
Right, as much as we can. Well, what do you think we should take?
Well, we can prioritize the sugar and the tea, as that is the smallest for the most expensive. It will sell for the most per pound.
Well, whatever we can fit then.
And Fenric's going to take a quick look around the warehouse. Are there any spices?
If you want to spend your hero point, there can be, within reason, stuff that you want.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. Okay, so yeah, Fenric finds a collection of various different spices that are from a bunch of different islands and just one crate of them kind of near the back. He will pick that up and bring it to the boat.
Marguerite, not knowing what is more expensive or not, will just help bring whatever someone else recommends to be brought.
all of this stuff is too large for me to carry. Catalina's going to go back to the boat, get her rapier, and she will get some rope from the boat as well, and tie up one of the guards and put a gag over his mouth and wake him up. And once he's awake, she's got him propped up against a tree, and he's looking at her like he wants to kill her for one moment, then another look of please don't kill me the next instant. She says to him, do not worry. When we are ready to go, I will let you go and you will go and raise the alarm.
He looks a little confused at this, and he nods. I was half expecting.
Fenric is happy with his spices, but he's going to help load whatever other people want as well.
But what was he saying was most expensive? Because Marguerite has no clue, so she's just bringing
He was
whatever
thinking
is.
tea and sugar. He could be wrong. Um, but that is what he was thinking.
Okay. Marguerite's bringing a bunch of tea, because it's not as heavy as some things.
Still a bit of work, but she can do it. It's not like...
Yep. Big sacks of tea leaves, or however it is there. She's just bringing tea.
So it takes you about 15, 20 minutes to load enough that, you feel the boat is still usable. It's now a little bit more unwieldy. It'll take 2 raises.
To move.
You think you might be able to get a little bit more, but you're definitely starting to get towards it being more of a risk.
Well, if everybody is happy with what we have, I suggest we get a move on.
I agree.
Then back
Do
to the
you,
longboat.
do you want me to play the accordion as we leave?
I do not know.
We do not need you to play the accordion.
Or try to attract attention, yeah?
My prisoner here. I am sure he will draw enough attention.
How do you know he will do what you say?
If he does not, I will cut off his ears, and then I will cut off his fingers, one by one.
Oh.
He will keep his thumbs.
Just thumbs?
I'm thinking,
See-
are you going to come back to do this?
Yeah, that's the thing. If he doesn't do it, she has to then track him down and be like,
Just
hey.
wait, I'm coming back.
That's why Marguerite's a little concerned the threat is not going to be enough to make him do what we want. Well, are you going to let him go then?
Would you like to die, or would you like to go and raise the alarm?
That seemed an odd choice to him, the way it was worded. But he will raise the alarm.
Then let him go.
Fine, I shall let him go. She gives him a bow, sheathes her dagger, and runs and jumps in the boat.
Marguerite's getting in the
And
boat.
His
He runs
feet are
off.
still tied. He can't
Yep,
run
so
off
he
because his
hops
feet
off. He does the penguin escape.
Slow escape. Alright, and Marguerite's going to now focus on moving quickly, not quietly, because it doesn't matter about being quiet at this point. So, as we are trying to now be quick, Marguerite will get everyone to... It's a narrow stream, but if they can row, if they can push, whatever it is to move us along faster, she will be encouraging them rather sharply to do so until we are able to splash our way out back into the main river and then just row as quickly as we can.
And they start to throw the ropes down to secure the longboat.
Elena's
And
looking back to see,
If they're following?
or if they're raising the alarm.
you
Oh, yeah.
do see a couple of flares go up. And it's hard work for the crew to haul. There's still all the
Stuff.
loot, but they secure it at the back of the ship, and then they basically chain the goods into the hold. Then, now that the alarm is up, get us out of here, first mate. And they're like dropping all the sails this time rather than being sneaky and cutting into the wind and making your escape,
Mm-hmm.
of which you do.
Alright.
Right.
And over the coming days, you get word the others have gone elsewhere to not attract attention, that the operation was a success and that they took a merchant and they have split their divvies.
Nice.
Which Catalina will hand to Marguerite.
Who will add it to the pool?
Then after we return to the ship, Fenric will approach the captain. Captain, I found something fairly interesting in the warehouse as we were looting it. It could be worth quite a lot of coin.
And your mysterious discovery is?
And Fenric will produce the crate full of spices. Um,
Catalina wanted to pour over people's faces?
no, this is a bunch of spices from many different islands and many different nationalities.
So not the blinding agent that is nutmeg.
There might be some of that in here. Fenric rummages around. Anyway, I'm bringing this to you because we have a bit of a choice. We could sell this and make a decent amount of money. I'd have to get it appraised and figure out all the individual spices and everything. Or we could use it to improve the ship's morale, and I could use it in the kitchen.
I will leave it up to you. This is your spoils of war. Duh.
Alright. Well, I think I will keep it in the kitchen then. I might be able to produce some very interesting meals the coming voyage with these. Or at least ones that taste better, if nothing
If
else.
you are so unsure, you could always sell F and keep F.
I suppose, but there aren't many, like, duplicates of spices. They are all fairly unique.
Ah, they are yours. You are making an habit of stealing spices. I suspect you shall have to have some sort of pirate name based on it someday.
I'll be in the kitchen if you need me. Picks up his spice rack and leaves.
His spice rack.
His
He's
spice
turned
rack
it
now.
into a rack already. He's created a spice rack.
Uh-huh.
That he just takes with him wherever he goes.
His portable. He's got a bandolier of little vials of spices. Marguerite will ask Alana if her head is okay, since she headbutted someone this time instead of punching them.
And she's like, she was rubbing it on the way back. I am fine, thank you, Susan.
Ah, that is good to hear. And she will then turn to Catalina and say, you may wish to keep an eye on that one. She has forgotten my name.
I did hear she called you Suzanne.
Oui?
See, alright. Catalina's
says
checking
goes
her
the air.
eyes. Then you are fine.
7th Sea, starring Emily as Marguerite, Shadow as Fenric, RavenInsane as Catalina, Ghost as the teller of stories. 7th Sea is released by Chaosium Games and written by John Wick. Some of the sounds come from Sirenscape.com. You can find us at critfail.com.